Welcome to the Better Pairs podcast. Join Dr. Jason Fujikawa for his insights on theology, philosophy, culture, and the verbal expressions we use to relate meaning and reality to one another. Make no mistake, this is a podcast for nerds, but particular nerds who are searching for old wisdom made ever new. To learn more about the Better Pairs cultural empire, please visit betterpairs.com.
Hello, this is Dr. Jason Fujikawa. This episode of the Better Pairs podcast features a dedication to another priest who had a strong influence on the course of my life and many of the insights behind this podcast. The episode itself is our most linguistically technical to date, and so I encourage listeners to head over to Better Pairs Preserves, linked in the show notes, where all our episode scripts appear in blog form. Finally, I would be remiss not to mention the Better Pairs Market, also linked in the show notes, which features branded mugs, decals, and notebooks, all essentials for rigorous language study, and perfect for your favorite scholar heading back to school. Now, on with the episode. Dedication. The late Father Matthew Lamb entered the Trappist Monastery of the Holy Spirit in Conyers, Georgia at the age of 14 in 1952. 10 years later, he was ordained a priest and was soon assigned to study theology in Rome during the Second Vatican Council. After receiving his licentiate in 1966, he continued his theological studies at the University of Munster, earning a Ph.D. in 1974. Returning to the United States, he was incardinated in the Archdiocese of Milwaukee and taught for a few years at Marquette University before beginning his 2-decade career at Boston College. He remained conversant with a veritable who's who of Catholic theologians of the post-conciliar era, both in North America and Europe. Yet his professional devotion was to his students, and less to the task of publishing. To some, it must have been a surprise to learn that he relinquished his tenured post at Boston College in 2004, and took up the directorship of the graduate programs in theology at Ave Maria University, a university only in its second year of operation in Naples, Florida. To those who knew him, this great shift in geographical latitude served his longitudinal interest in raising up the next generation of Catholic theologians in the United States. These students would know well the ancients, the fathers, and the schoolmen, and would leaven a field of theological specialists only interested in niches and novelties. I was among those of the first graduate class admitted by Father Lamb and other members of the theology faculty. My metaphysical foundations, particularly the Augustinian interpretation of time and eternity, are direct effects of Father Lamb's influence. As much as it was an honor to study under him, he never failed to mention the onus of handing on the theological tradition, to guard and communicate it so long as the night watch is ours. Father Lamb passed through the veil on January 12, 2018. While in his life he failed to fill bookshelves with monographs filled with his many insights, he instead invested in the heavenly treasure of his students, who will not, like books, pass away with this world. Then and there, in the New Jerusalem, should it please God, may the real theology commence. Requiescat in pace. Episode 11. Hardcore. Fecisti nos ad te, et cor nostrum inquietum est donec requiescat in te. In his most famous line from his Confessions, St. Augustine introduces the great outward and return journey of his life, our life. In this meticulous sentence, he reveals both his ability for rhetorical flourish and the paucity of our attempts at translation. The effect is that many modern translations of the work into English struggle to capture and convey the meanings he offers. We begin with Fecisti. St. Augustine employs the verb facio facere instead of creo creare, see Procreation episode 8, even though the distinction is clear to him theologically by this point in his authorship. Perhaps the choice is in reference to the many ways God formed St. Augustine and each of us in the adventure of life as distinct from God's creation and sustaining of his creatures. Adventure, it seems, is the key to life. You have made us to yourself, he writes. This ad te is more than simply stating possession or purpose. You have made us to yourself signifies motion toward, a presence not yet achieved or enjoyed. The exitus-reditus paradigm, which will schematize the Summa Theologiae of St. Thomas Aquinas nearly a millennium later, is encapsulated in these four words, Fecisti nos ad te. Then we arrive at cor nostrum, literally our heart. Nostrum is the first person plural possessive adjective. He does not write our hearts, my heart, or even the heart of us. What does St. Augustine mean here? Does he mean a single human heart collectively shared? If so, where does this one heart beat? Is he writing metaphorically, or rather metonymically, to refer to our heart as a part to the whole, and thus essentially mean simply us? Is he writing trans-temporally in that, at one time prior, the human heart did reside singularly in the chest of Adam? The sin, after all, is called original on account of this common origin. Is this commonality with our first parents how God in some sense knows the human family, connected in this way, existing in this way across generations of his creation? What is core? Is it a heart for St. Augustine in the sense of muscular tissue? Is its beating the inquietum referenced, or is core significant of the principal aspect of us, that which experiences sadness, dissatisfaction, inquietum? What is the rest of the body or corpus to the core? Is the body the foot, cf. Greek, pous, or footstool of the core, suggesting a Platonic influence concerning the transmigration of souls? Rather still, might the corpus corporis be the bearer of the core, the heart, the soul, ferrying it into the world? Returning to inquietum, is this movement, that is, the movement ad te, the source or cause of the inquietude? What is quietum? If it is quiet, what makes quiet so? Is quies a state of completed quere, or search? As creatures, we are by metaphysical reality incomplete, an effect not containing its cause. Is inquietum the norm of our existence, or merely the statistical anomaly of history, specifically salvation history being incomplete, as yet unfulfilled? In 5,000 years, will the majority of our existence have been quietude or inquietude? Proceeding to requiescat, we discover an answer to this question of norms. St. Augustine's choice of requiescat is both liturgical in connotation and significant of the return, the reditus, to God. The subjunctive mood of the verb requiescat, expressing desire or exhortation, is modified by the prepositional phrase in te. The Latin pronoun te can be either accusative or ablative in reference to case. Similarly, the preposition in can pair with objects in both these cases with modifications of meaning. In te, where te is accusative, can mean into you, the ingressive sense, which suggests our participation of the divine life, that is, beatitude. It can also mean adversatively against you, or in an extreme sense suggests the rest experienced by the damned in the knowledge of their condemnation perpetually. Te, interpretive in the ablative case, means in or on, and thus until cor nostrum rests on you. Here, the resting of the beloved disciple on the breast of Christ at the Last Supper comes to mind. Fecisti nos ad te, et cor nostrum inquietum est donec requiescat in te. The difficulty in translating this sentence is not that all translation is deficient, and thus linguistic theft, but that language as a gift from the divine word can so densely convey reality. By reading texts in their original language, we remain closer to the reality of the author, whether human or divine, and deny the loss of fruitfulness to translating middlemen and the likes of Big Lexi. The views expressed by Better Pairs contributors are theirs alone and do not necessarily reflect the views of Better Pairs, its parent company, or any company or organizations affiliated with the contributors. For more information to support Better Pairs or to shop for Better Pairs merchandise, please visit betterpairs.com.